Today's the day we're going to turn this into this. Welcome back, Basic Beaches and Bros. It's Kristen here with Enchanted Yarnworks, and here we are in our next video of our basic beginning crochet tutorial. So today we are moving past our hooks and our yarn, and we're going to put them together to learn our first crochet stitch, and that is single crochet. So please make sure you're subscribed, you have the notification bell dinged, and hit that like button to give me some love, and head on over with me and we're going to get started. Okay, welcome. Today we are going to go into the basics of crocheting as far as stitches, as far as making your own stitches. Now, I'm going to go through this as slow as possible because I know it can be weird to see. I know it could be understandable. So I'm going to try my best to keep it as close to the camera here for you and go as slow as possible. Okay, what I'm using today is this is a loops and thread yarn from Michaels. It is a bulky. I'm using the bulky so that you can see the stitches better. And I'm using the 8mm hook, the Susan Bates, because this is the inline. And I talked in my previous video about inline is usually best for beginners. And I'm going to show you how to do with the type of hook that you would most likely use. So to start, in this video, we're going to go over slip knots. We're going to go over holding your hook. So many different things like that. We're just going to do basics. We're just going to make like a swatch, okay? A square. Now, you can do your homework and you can make that square super long, and then, hey, look, you have a scarf for the fall that's coming up for winter. Congratulations, your first wearable. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. A slip knot is what you want to start with. There are so many different ways to do this. I probably do mine how nobody else out there does them. To me, it's a quick step, but I'm going to try my best to show you how other people do it. So if I mess up, I'm with you. Okay, so there are a few different ways that people do this. So what I just did here was I twisted the yarn, and now I'm going to go through the hole and I'm going to grab my working end of the yarn, not the tail end. And then there's my slip knot. And then you would put on your hook like so. Okay, so I can show you that again. This is my working yarn on this side. This is my tail on the bottom. I twist to the back so that the tail bit is here. Now as you see, actually you could start like this, pinch, turn. Let me show you my hand. Like I said, these are cumbersome for me and weird and awkward. So if it is for you, don't feel bad. And then put your fingers in between coming up, grab this yarn here and pull it through that loop. And as you see, there is the slip knot, okay? So when I do this, I just go straight from the yarn in my hand. So I guess I should go backwards a step and also talk about how to hold the yarn in your hand. This is right hand crocheting. If it's left hand crocheting, I think you have to mirror things, but I'm a right hand crocheter, so my sincerest apologies for not knowing specifics for left hand crochet. So what my grandmother taught me when I was like 8 is she taught me to wrap gently, of course, the yarn around my pinky finger like so. And then you see how here, this is the working end. It's kind of wrapped like so. And then pull this side over my index finger. And then I hold the yarn with my middle and my thumb. Okay. This is the way that I was taught to start out. So wrap and then wrap. This is how I was taught. Now, there are people who somehow just, I honestly don't know, somehow just like hold the yarn like this. They just hold it with these two fingers and then I don't wrap. I don't know, I think that there's tension issues there. I've never tried that. I think that I would be losing tension too much, and that would be a problem for me. There's also the rings that you can use. You'll wrap your yarn in here and that'll help. But we're going to continue on with the way my grandmama taught me. So wrapping. Actually, I need a shorter tail up here. And then now this is how I make my slip knot. It's one fluid motion. I take my hook, see if I can get a good angle, push down like so, wrap it. See, you got a cross right there. Loop my yarn, kind of hold right here at the crossover, and then I just pull it through that loop. And then there's my slip knot. I find it's an easier process than using two hands, and then I gotta rewrap it on my hand. I don't like to do that. But you do what works for you, because this is your craft. Okay, so I'll show you that again. Hook, push down, pull around, wrap it. You have the crossover here, yarn over, hook, and pull through, and then pull your knot. So there that is. So next up, we need to chain. Okay, so how do we hold the hook? Well, that is a variation of topics. Like it depends on you. It depends on what you're comfortable with. I personally, what's funny is I can't do it without actually being ready to crochet. So I actually, hold on to this little indentation. Perfect for you to hold your hook, thumb, finger. And I guess this is called the knife technique, is I pretty much hold my hook like this. Okay. This is how my grandmother taught me. I don't know any other way. And when I do my slip knot, I just go like so. To me, it's comfortable. I can easily move my hand. No worries. That sound you hear is my cat digging in a plastic bag. There are people who hold like a pencil, like so. And I think they hold their working yarn like this. I honestly have never tried this. So we're going to try this together. It feels weird to me. And they work very close to the yarn, like this. And I think that's how they have very tight tension like that, because I feel that's super tight for me. That would be very difficult and cumbersome for me. Now, however you are comfortable is how you want to work. I honestly have never seen anybody crochet any other way than this until the internet. I'm not judging anybody else's way. So go ahead out there and see how other people are holding their hooks and give it a try and see what works best for you. And this is Cody coming up on my desk. This is why I kick them out whenever I crochet, because he likes to come in here and lay in my way. So bye, buddy. I'm sorry. You cannot hang out while I'm doing this. And then there's Oliver's tail. Okay, so I hope that helps. So then let's get started with our chaining. I think we're just going to do, actually, what does the gauge swatch? This is a gauge swatch, okay? And what that means is it's going to tell you how many stitches you need to make a 4x4 square, okay? Now this is saying 11 stitches. Now it's knit stitches by 16 rows. So we're going to try 11 crochets, single crochets by 16 rows to get our 4x4, okay? Now the gauge swatch works out because of tension and hook size, because so many people use different tensions. Some people crochet very loose, some people crochet very tight. So a tighter crocheter is going to make a smaller swatch. So if you're trying to make something that is supposed to be a specific size by the creator of the pattern, if you are a tighter crocheter than that person or a looser crocheter than that person, then that item is going to be completely different in size. That's what the gauge swatch is for. So let's go ahead. We're going to make a 10. We're going to use 10 stitches across. Okay. So first off, we need chains. So we have to chain to make our foundation row. Now, I always find, especially with beginners and sometimes myself, to be honest, that I chain tighter than I crochet later, which causes problems with my chain base being super tight and then everything else being loose, and it kind of like hangs over itself and it's not straight. So a tip there is to crochet your chain, foundation chain, looser, or go up a size in your hook. Okay. Those are my suggestions. So actually, I'm going to use this 9 because it's one size up than the 8 for that purpose. Okay. So what we do for chaining, I need to zoom in a little bit, is you will wrap around. So it's called yarning over. So yarn over, turn, and then it'll catch, and then just pull through like so. So that's one chain. And you continue that for 11. So 2, 3, whoops, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and here's 11. So there's our first chain foundation. Now, the reason we do 11 is because we need an extra chain to turn with. So this is going to be 10 stitches across because we're going to be working in the second chain from the hook. So this is the hook. This right here is our first chain from the hook. And then this here is our second chain. If you're confused, comment below. I will happily explain for you. Okay, so we're doing a single crochet. So what that means is we go into our chain stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, then you have 2 loops on your hook. Okay, next you're going to yarn over again, like so, and then pull through both loops. And that is your first single crochet. Then we need 10 of those. So into the loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. So we have 2 on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay, is that making sense? Do this again. Into the loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Move this camera just a little bit more. Okay. Into the loop, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through. Into, yarn over, pull up loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Through the loop, yarn over, pull up 2, yarn over, pull through. And this should be our last one. I'm going to count to make sure. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and yes, our last one is over here at the end, and that's going to be 10. Okay, there's our first row of 10 single crochets. Now, what do we do next? Make sure, I know it's boring, but counting is imperative. Otherwise, you're gonna, this is experience I had when I was 8. I wasn't counting, so I just kept going. So you have to make sure you're counting as you go so you don't grow, because I guarantee you this is going to grow this way or this way. And you'll be like, why does it not look like a square? That's why. Okay, so next we have to come back the other way. So we're going to turn. Okay. We're going to wrap, yarn over, and we're going to chain 1, just like so. Okay. Now, in this case, this chain is not going to count as a stitch. Now, as you go along, you're going to find patterns that say for a double or half double crochet that have you chain 2, they say it counts as a stitch. And in that case, you would skip this first stitch opening, okay? And then you would go here into the second one. This is not counting as a stitch, so this is our first stitch right here, okay? So let me pause for a minute. I'm going to pull this out. Let's talk about these loopies, okay? The top of your stitch, Oliver just jumped up on my table, so he may be putting his face in camera in just a second. We have these 2 V's on the top, okay? You have a V shape here because you have a loop. Oliver, stop rubbing on the camera. You have a back loop here. Actually, let's put my hook in here so you can see. There's a back loop, which is right here, and then you have a front loop, which is right here, okay? Generally, we are all going to be going through both loops. That's what we're going to be doing right now because we are just making basic. This is basic starter stuff. There will be times where a recipe, sure, they are recipes, pattern calls for back loop only, BLO, or front loop only, FLO, and that is how those would be worked. But we can talk about that later. Okay, so here we are. We have done our chain, and now we are going to be working single crochets all the way down both loops. So go through. I mean, you have the opening right there. It's right there for you. Okay. Yarn over, pull up, same thing all the way down. Yarn over, pull through 2. I'm trying not to throw a bunch of info at you right away because I understand it can be confusing. So trying to keep it basic. Nothing wrong with basic, guys. We all start somewhere, right? Okay, so in 2 loops, yarn over, pull up, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through. How's that looking? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 so far. So we have 4 more to go. This corner here can be confusing, so we're going to absolutely work into that. I'll explain it. Okay. I didn't explain it. Sincerest apologies. So this one's weird because this is where we did our chain and just turned over. So it doesn't have the specific like beginning like this side did. So it's still there. You still have the 2 loops and you're still going through that open space. Okay. So there we go. just like so. And then here we are getting our beautiful swatch built. So turning, chaining, and then continuing all the way down for 10. My cats have decided to join the party today, and they are laying all over my table and climbing all over my other table in here. And if you hear crazy noise, it's them. Don't worry, nothing untoward is happening. Okay, so through, yarn over, pull up 2 loops, yarn over, pull through. Okay, so now at this end, we actually have a solid end corner to work into, opposed to the turn corner that we had last round. So you can kind of see that it's more obvious, and you're just working in under the 2 loops there. Okay, so there we are. That's 3 rows. Looking lovely. I'm going to go ahead and finish and make this a square, and I will be right back at the end. Okay, so here we are. I did 10 stitches by 12 rows. Okay, and that is giving me a 5 by 5 inch swatch. So that will tell me that that is what that size would be. So 4, we would take out a whole stitch, stitch and a half, and then 2 rows to get a 4 by 4. Anyway, that's probably too much. So there we are. That's our first square made. So, dear friend, please gather your goodies. I find that if you want to start with a chunky and a larger hook, that'll help you get a feel, and you won't feel so cumbersome with smaller yarns if you want, and it gives you something to play around with. If you want to strive to make a dishcloth, go ahead and get your cotton yarn. However, I don't highly suggest starting out with the low cotton yarn, because you will get frustrated because it is coarse and stiff. You want something that's softer and more mobile and feels better in your hands. Trust me on this, okay? But definitely go ahead, and you can try worsted, you could try bulky. I wouldn't try anything smaller than worsted, and I probably wouldn't jump up anything bigger than a 5. Maybe a small 6, super bulky. And then whatever hook size it calls for on the label. Okay, so now that we are at the end of our square, I'm going to show you how to tie off our yarn and how to weave in the ends, okay? So what we're going to do is take our scissors. You can use any kind of, little sewing scissors or whatever you have. This came in the kit with crochet hooks that I was gifted years ago. Make yourself a nice tail. Let's go ahead and cut that off. And then what you're going to do is pull this out like so. Then you need to get yourself a yarn needle. This one's great. It has a nice large eye, and it has the angled point, which is perfect for the larger yarns. It's also good for smaller yarns. I use it for almost everything I do. This one comes in this cute little tin I got on Amazon. I'll have it linked down below. It has 18 different needles in there. Now, mind you, I don't have all of them in there. They've kind of walked away and ended up with other projects that they stay with and all of that goodness. But as you can see, there's some straight ones in here. There are some with smaller eye holes and what have you. See, there's a smaller one that fell out. And they come in a random decorated tin. This is a little saltine. I was going to say sardine, and that's not it. So those are there. So then what you're going to do is thread your needle. They do make other needles that work perfect for larger yarns too. I will link those down below if I can find them on the Amazon, but they're not a full small eye here and then your needle point. It's like a one big oval eye, which is amazing. And it just kind of like squeezes down as you use it. So then what you're going to do is you're going to come back. So here we have our top loop, and then this is our second loop because we, from the bottom, that's part of the single crochet loop. And then this is our this is your previous row here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to loop it over this into this loop. Can you see that okay? Should I zoom in? Probably. Into this loop, and then I'm going to put it under this loop, okay? So that's going to keep the integrity of our row ending here. Then now we need to go this way, down this row. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just putting the needle in through the loops, and it does not have to be perfect. Yes, here it is splitting the threads of that yarn there, and that's what you want. You want it to split through the threads so that it weaves itself in and is less likely to weave itself out, okay? So you're going to go through. And yes, there's a little tension with that, and that means I went through the different plies of the yarn, and that's exactly what you want to happen. So then now you're going to come back this direction again and do the same thing. So now if you go look at videos, and some people you may see, I was one of them, so I'm not knocking anybody here. You will see that if they change color, they'll just start crocheting over the tail of the previous color and the tail of the current color. I've done that before. I lived by that forever. It is not going to be stable and hold up. My daughter has a blanket on her bed that I did that with, and the ends are starting to come out. So I actually need to go back and do this with all of them so that they stay secure. Especially when you start washing, then things start to get loose. So now we've gone down and back. We need to do it one more time to go down, because that is going to ensure, usually say go three different directions. That is going to ensure that it is not going to come out. Now you can take this all the way down as far as you want to at this point. I probably did it. I mean, go in random directions. It's perfectly fine to go in random directions. You don't have to go straight. I just kind of like to go with the row there. It also depends on what stitch I'm using in my project for how I do it. So there we go. Now I'm just going to cut this off right at the edge. And there it is. That is finished. We zoom back out a little bit, not in. That is our finished square, worked in this end. Now I will do the same thing the best I can with my starting end. And that's it. So I hope this was helpful. Questions, please comment below. I will be more than happy to answer them. And next time we will build upon the next stitch, which would be a half double crochet. Thanks for hanging out and happy hooking. So how do you feel? Are you a little overwhelmed? Are you feeling confident, a little comfortable? I sure hope so. So if you're feeling at all overwhelmed or you have questions, you're unsure, go ahead and comment down below or go into my description box and you can find my both my Facebook and my Instagram page links, and go ahead and send me a direct message there. I will be more than happy to help guide you and get you through this journey, answer any questions you may have. If you don't have questions and you're feeling great, go ahead and comment down below that, hey, I loved it. It was good. I feel great, confident, etc. So I love to hear the good. I love to hear the bad. I don't want to say bad. Maybe just the not quite sure yet. It's all good. This is a learning journey, and I'm more than happy to have you along for the ride, and I would love to guide you. So next week, if you don't already have your yarn, again, we're using loops and threads. They're Charisma yarn. It's all acrylic. It's a 5 weight. So it's a bulky, not a super bulky, which is the 6, if you remember from the yarn video. If you haven't seen any of those 2 videos, but go back and look at those. Check those out. They're pretty quick ones. They are in my playlist for beginner beaches and bros crochet tutorials. And that kind of gives you an idea, if you haven't seen, what all this yarn and hook size means. I kind of break it down for you in those. So this is the color Blush in their Charisma Heathers. Now I chose these colors because it kind of looks good on the video for you, so you can see the stitches. You can work with whatever color you like. I decided that the little bit bulkier weight yarn, the 5 weight yarn, may be better for you to kind of get a good handle on the yarn, so you don't feel like it's slipping or difficult to hold in your hands. And it's kind of a little bit easier to work with, especially when you're starting out. So that's why I chose that weight. You can use whatever size yarn you want to, in whatever hook size that coordinates with it, which it will say on your label. But I highly advise, if you want to stick and do the same things as me, this you can get at michaels.com, or if something's going on upstairs, yikes, real life over here, friends, or just any bulky weight yarn that you feel comfortable with. Make sure it's pretty solid and it's not like easy to open up and fray, because that might get a little frustrating for you. So next week, we're going to start with a next stitch, which is our half double crochet, and I'm going to be adding slip stitch in there as well, because I kind of forgot to do it here today. Sorry about that, but they can go together. It's not a problem. So I look forward to next week. So make sure you are subscribed, that notification bell's dinged, hit that like button. Let me know you show me some love. And thank you for hanging out with me today. Again, send me any questions or comments or concerns or love or whatever you want to say. Go ahead and be kind and gracious, of course, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. So again, thanks for hanging out with me today. And I look forward to seeing you next week on Tuesday.